FM 94, The Dark. It is that time again. It's time to get to know a band we play here on The Dark. And on the phone right now, I'm talking with the lead singer of the band Otherwise, that being Adrian Patrick. And Adrian, first of all, welcome to The Dark. And where are you calling from today?
We are home in Las Vegas, Jay-Z. So it is a beautiful day here. It's about, I don't know, I want to say like 72 degrees, cool breeze, bright, sunny, blue sky, awesome clouds. It's perfect, man. So it's good to talk to you out in Minnesota, brother.
Thanks for rubbing it in, by the way.
Oh man!
You know what our high?
Didn't hear that.
I think our high yesterday was 37. Okay.
Oh my gosh, 37.
We're a little bit below. We're a little bit below normal, but we're above normal when it comes to active rock bands like yourself. And we want to get to know about you a little bit. So let's talk about the band Otherwise. And how did you guys form? What's the history of this band?
Well, my brother and I have been jamming together for 10 years now, man. He was. Him and I, there's 8 years difference between him and I in age, and so when he was finally old enough to play and actually, go and hang out at a bar or a club somewhere, he joined the band, and that's kind of when, things really started taking off for us. He's an extremely talented guitar player, has a very unique style. He went to the Las Vegas Academy for the Performing Arts here, so he's studied and educated in music theory. So when he started jamming with us, that's really when the band kind of we found our identity. And we've had unfortunately the way things are in this game, we've had many different guys at each position, but my brother has always been there with me by my side, having my back. And our lineup right now, we found our drummer Corky back in 2010. He actually played a Halloween party with us on the Strip, and ever since that's going on 5 years now. We really clicked with Corky. He's been playing in the Blue Man Group out here in Vegas for upwards of a decade himself, and a very respected drummer and musician in the scene out here. And right now we feel we're at our strongest, man. This is the best lineup we've had in a very long time. Recently just acquired another extremely talented multi-instrumentalist at bass, a guy named Tony Carboni, and our buddy Andrew Pugh on rhythm guitar. We've recorded with him over the years here in Vegas. He's a very talented engineer himself. So I am probably the least educated and least talented guy in the band.
Hey, but you're the spokesman for the band, right?
Yeah, I'm the face, which I don't know if that helps or hurts us, to be honest. The way I look.
That's all right. That's all right. Everybody's got to have a beautiful face somewhere, right?
For someone on the inside, yeah.
Absolutely.
I've got a great personality, Jay-Z. That's what I've been told.
I love it. I love it. Hey, let's talk about the name Otherwise. How did that all come about?
Oh, well, when one of the first drummers that my brother and I ever jammed with, he said, I remember him saying, there's a guy named Lenny. I'm still friends with him, cool guy. I've known him since high school. And I remember one time he said that he was like, I think a cool album title would be The Process of Otherwise. So it's a very abstract kind of concept. And I was like, that's pretty cool, actually. Kind of trippy in a way. And then that night, I had a dream, and in the dream, I told somebody that the band was called Otherwise. And we didn't have a name at the time, and so I came to rehearsal the next day, and I told my brother and the guys about the dream, and they were like, "Dude, that's really cool. That's it. That's the band name." And so it stuck, man. And it works for us because the definition of the word Otherwise is other than supposed, and that's kind of what we strive for. We try not to sound like other bands in our genre. Whether or not critics say we achieve that, it doesn't matter, because we definitely know we don't feel like other bands. We don't. Coming from where we come from and looking the way we look, and having such a diversity in the songs from track to track. We try not to sound the same from every song. From one song to the next, and the title really fits. It works for us. Other than suppose, it's perfect. What you see is not always what you get with us. So that kind of. It's us, man. We're the wise guys, you know what I mean?
Very cool. Yeah, very cool. We're talking with Adrian Patrick. He's the lead singer of the band Otherwise, a Las Vegas-based band. Did you grow up in Las Vegas?
Yeah, born and raised, man.
Okay. I guess
yeah.
what was it like growing up in Las Vegas, and then what's it like being a rock band from Las Vegas?
Well, I always say it's a very interesting town to grow up in. It's a city of extremes. It's got all this bright neon, glitzy glamour, celebrities, and everybody comes here to party and pretend to be somebody else. But the flip side of that is also it can be very dark and very, you can get into a lot of trouble out here, and I've managed to do that many times myself. But our experiences, very much translate into the music. Where we're from greatly influences, our artwork. And being a rock band in Vegas is a weird thing because if you look back on the bands that have come out of Vegas and have been massively successful, The Killers, Panic at the Disco, Imagine Dragons, right. That's really not like fully representative of the scene. When I was growing up and coming up in the scene here, it was heavy. It was like heavy, aggressive music, and for us to be able to break out, with the style of music that we currently, do, it says a lot because the competition level was so high. There's every night on the Strip, there's international headliners. You're competing with Elton John and Celine Dion and there's always something huge to do out here. So for us to be able to make a name for ourselves and sell out venues here in Vegas and finally break out of here, we're very proud of that. And especially not being a pop band like all the other bands that I just mentioned. We're a hard rock band, and we carry that flag proudly.
That's very true. And, your upbringing has a lot normally to do with kind of the music that you have. So I guess as a kid growing up, what did you listen to?
Dude, that's a good question, man. We were kind of talking about that off air. I grew up listening to Rage Against the Machine,
okay.
and Stone Temple Pilots and Pearl Jam,
Yeah.
I grew up listening, like bands that have real messages and were, I guess you could say they were kind of darker, but it was representative of the way I grew up, I went to an inner city school, it was not always easy, and some of that aggression and that angst comes out in our music, and you can hear our influences, I'm a '90s kid. I went, it's like
that's cool.
That's what we grew up listening to, man. And I feel bad for the kids nowadays because it's like, dude, you listen to Steve Aoki right now? That's your idea of like inspiration? Okay, whatever.
Oh boy, we're talking with Adrian Patrick, lead singer of the band. Otherwise, let's talk about some of your albums and songs. Obviously, your first album, True Love Never Dies, did very well, and the first song that I heard of, and I think the first song that really was out there was Soldiers, that kind of put you on the map. Would you say that was the song that really started this success for you?
Oh, absolutely, man. And, ironically, that song came about from a very, sad and depressing place. In the summer of 2011, we were, literally considering, dude, we might have to quit the band and get real day jobs, and this is just not going anywhere. And that song, one night we're sitting in rehearsal, and my brother was he had that riff, in his pocket for years, and he was just kind of vamping on it. And I'm looking around at the guys, and I was like, dude, you know what? We're not going to quit. This is my little 5-man army, and we're going to try and win this soul war that we're in. Like for our own, peace of mind, like we can't give up on this. And, it's poetic justice that mantra, the song that we wrote for ourselves to keep us going is what ended up breaking us out and ended up making a tiny little slice of history. It went number one on satellite radio. It was the first song in the history of satellite radio to go number one by an unsigned band.
Right.
And then, of course, that led to us signing a record deal. And here we are. I'm getting to talk to you, man. And in Vegas, and you're in Minnesota. You know what I mean? It's such a wild trip, man.
Something's wrong with this picture. I think I'm in the wrong spot. I should be in Vegas.
You're invited, brother. Anytime we're off the road, you want to come and visit, we'll show you a good time out here.
Absolutely. Sounds good. Obviously, then you followed up with I Don't Apologize with that, and that song really did well on the active rock charts, didn't it?
Yeah, as of right now, it's our highest charting single. It almost broke the top 10, and we're still pushing for a top 10 single. A lot goes into that, as you well know. There's a lot of politics in radio and
right.
the music business in general. But yeah, that song, was written for an ex-girlfriend, and that one it has a special place because every night we play that song, the entire room sings back the chorus line. Every night at the merch booth, somebody tells us how that song helped them through their heartbreak, and that's what. If we're doing that, then we're doing our jobs. You know what I mean?
Let's go back to something you just said about politics and radio, and I completely agree with you because I'm lucky enough to have a boss here that lets me play what I want. I don't have to answer to corporate America or the big companies in radio. Has it been harder and harder for artists like yourself to break into the radio market, or for that matter, just break out? Period.
Oh man, it's crazy, dude. We're still trying to figure it out, and it blows my mind how a lot of these big corporate radio stations that are run by this company, kind of umbrella company, and usually it's one guy and he decides the playlist, and it's like kind of what you were saying again, referencing our little chat off there. It's like, dude, there's a bunch of new music out there. Like, why are you playing the same dozen bands that everybody has heard for the last 20 years? Like there's new stuff out there, man. People want to hear new music, but until I don't know, there's got to be some kind of revolution, I guess. Somebody really needs to kind of step out and take a chance and open the door to new artists and new music and let the people hear it. So radio stations like you guys, like FM 94, that have a pair of balls on them, dude. It's like that's awesome, man. We need more guys like you and more stations across the country to keep us going. You know what I mean? To keep the music out there, to get our message at least, of strength and love and light. And light through darkness. Like all that heady, lofty stuff, man. It goes so deep, dude. And I can talk about it for hours.
Oh yeah.
How long the show is, but it's tough, man. And I really feel bad for the state of rock and roll right now because of these big giant corporations. It's all about pop, and it's all about synthesizers and running tracks, and don't have distortion in your guitars and no live drums, and it's just like, what? That's not what I grew up listening to. That's not what's gonna last. You know what I mean?
No, not at all.
It's got to be genuine.
So whose responsibility is it, do you think, then, to get that change? Now, I think I read something about at one point there were like 400 active rock stations in America, and now we're down to about 200 or so. So we've already cut that in half. So it even makes it harder for you to get on the airwaves. Then also, as we talked about, you got corporate guys that are basically calling the shots from one location for about 80 of these stations.
Yeah.
Who's gonna be able to break that? I mean, I know Gene Simmons was saying rock is dead and all that kind of stuff, and maybe he does have a point in some degree because rock just can't get on the airwaves anymore. It has to be somebody saying, "Hey, I want to play this." I mean, who's going to make this change?
Dude, honestly, man, it literally comes down to the people, man. It comes down to the public, the public. A lot of the rock and roll fans that want to hear rock, they need to call these stations and bug them. Mm-hmm. Like, if big Mr. Biggs, sitting in his ivory tower and in his $2,000 suit is deciding the playlist. If he's getting harassed every day, at some point he's going to be like, dude, I need to listen to this, to these people. These are our listeners. This is what they want to hear. It's the voice of the people, literally. As cheesy as that sounds, that's what's going to make the difference. That's what's going to bring rock and roll back into the mainstream. So kids that are growing up actually can hear real music, and real passion and and real artists, real musicians. You know what I mean? And not this bubblegum pop that's packaged in, you know, all the same. You know, if you look at the Billboard, you know, the top 200, you look at all those pop artists, they all go to the same songwriters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, it's just a factory, man.
Yeah.
And it's the people, dude. It's got to be the people that said that.
You know, and you mentioned factory, and I'm thinking back now, you know, 10, 12, 13 years ago when they started the show American Idol, and that really has kind of changed the whole image of the music industry too, hasn't it?
Absolutely, man. I can't stand shows like that.
Right.
It's, you know, and you know what's even worse is that show The Voice.
Yeah.
Like, you know, at least Kelly Clarkson from American Idol has had, you know, of course, Carrie Underwood, they've had massive success, but I can't tell you one person who's won The Voice. I couldn't name one person off that show because it's all about the judges, the celebrity judges, and their products that they're pushing, and you know the advertising on the show. It has nothing to do with these poor kids that are getting up there and singing other people's songs, for one, and two, thinking that that's the way to make it. You know, it's teaching the kids that are watching this on TV. That's how you make it in the music industry. You've got to go and basically be a cover artist, sing somebody else's song, and be judged by a bunch of people who are already famous and rich. You know?
Right.
It's like, it doesn't make any sense, man. It doesn't make any sense. But I don't know if I fully agree with Gene Simmons that rock and roll is dead.
Right.
I definitely feel it's limited. It's not as cool and not as sexy as it once was. But that's also coming back to your question of, you know, whose responsibility is it? I think that has a lot to do with the quality of bands that we're getting signed, you know?
Right.
Like, you have your Nickelback, right? And Nickelback, I don't care what people say, Nickelback's a great band.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, they've written hits and songs that are going to be timeless, right?
Yep.
But then you had the industry was inundated with watered-down versions of Nickelback. And that was what people were calling rock and roll. That was, you know, being seen as, this is what's rock and roll. This kind of sucks. You know? And now we're seeing it in the post Nickelback era. This, you know, this is the state of rock right now. It's hurting, man, but it's not dead. You know, we can still breathe life into it.
Absolutely. We're talking with the lead singer of the band, otherwise Adrian Patrick. Let's get to your current album, Peace at All Costs, and Darker Side of the Moon was the first track off there. Now, Coming for the Throne is the latest track that you've had out there. What's the story, I guess, behind this album and some of those songs?
Well, Jay-Z, you know, that this album really was much more focused effort. And, you know, we'd been through the grinder, you know, 2 years out on the road, you know, with our first album, and we saw the reality of the music business and, again, you know, rock and roll in particular and where it's at right now. And so when we got off the road after, you know, nearly 500 shows, almost 2 years straight, you know, 200,000+ miles of road time, you know, we were more frustrated and more angry and more broke than we'd ever been, you know. And so when we came back to start the second album, we really focused, you know, all of those emotions, and we set out to, we didn't want to make the exact same album, you know, but we wanted to take the strengths from our first album and embellish on and evolve, because that's the whole point of art, is evolution and enlightenment and all that, you know, that jazz. And I feel like we did a pretty good job of avoiding the sophomore slump with Peace at All Costs. I'm very proud of the album. And again, I like one of our, they say, you know, your biggest strength is also your biggest weakness, you know, and that might be true. And a lot of our critics have said, well, you guys don't have an identity, you know, because we have a song like Love and War that opens Peace at All Costs, and it's just brutal, heavy, you know, just, you know, badass song.
I love it. I love that song, by the way. I love it.
Thank you, Jay-Z. And then we have tender moments like, you know, Never Say, and the acoustic song on the album, Walk Away. You know, It's like, but that's the point. You know what I mean? We're human. We're not always angry. We're not always sad. We're not always happy.
Right.
So why should every song sound the same? You know what I mean? Why should every album be a photocopy of the previous one?
Right.
And so with Peace at All Costs, you know, there's definitely, you can see there's a linear thread throughout the album.
There is.
And, you know, it's our best work to date, and, you know, I'm excited to we still have the single coming for the throne. It just broke the top 20 on the active rock chart.
Yes,
and,
it did.
I'm already looking forward to what are we going to do release next, and what are we going to do on the third album? So.
Hey, congratulations about breaking that top 22. I just saw that this week. I think you're at number 19 or so. And I actually report for Under the Radar charts, so I think you guys have been up there pretty high, too. So
Yeah, I do. And again, man, we thank you guys for that.
Absolutely. And that's kind of for more of us underground guys that aren't corporate America, so we can vote a little bit and tell the listener or tell people what the listeners want to hear.
Yeah, and that's awesome, brother. And it makes no sense to me, this whole reporting stations and
Right.
Like you guys. It's all the same. It's all music. It's all rock and roll. It's all love. You know what I mean? It's like we should all be together in this. But you guys, stations like you, have been really giving us hope, man. So once again, thank you, Jay-Z.
Hey, Peace at All Costs, obviously that's the current album, and the current song is Coming for the Throne. You just said obviously it made it into the top 20, but you're itching to get another song out there too. Do we have an idea, maybe another song off the album that you're going to release, or are we not allowed to say that yet?
Dude, usually I would stay fairly tight-lipped about that, but given the name of the show that we're on right now,
all righty.
I personally, I'm leaning towards a song called
Meet Me in the Dark. Yep.
Yeah, and we've recently started playing that one live, and you can, the reaction from the crowd and the audience is, it's just, it's palpable. The energy is there. You can feel it, man. And once we get to that point where we have to pick a third single, I'm going to personally lobby for that song in particular.
Very cool, very cool. I still think you could play Love and War, though. I'd be fine with that.
Dude, I will. Fourth single, brother, Love and War. We're gonna go 4 deep on this one.
How about we go 5 deep? I even like All the Pretty Things too.
Dude, you, my friend Jay-Z, are like, you're naming all of my personal faves off the album, dude. So we obviously have good taste in music.
Well, here's the deal too. I'm a programmer, and I can tell what's going to be a hit and what's not. And those songs, I think, could do very well mainstream.
Thank you, brother. That means a lot, man. And hopefully we can get to that point where we can go 5 deep. Some of that's the thing. Like we were talking about, bands, earlier in the show that influenced us, and that's what I remember. I remember bands going, like having 6 singles off of an album, like, and those are the bands that are lasting and legendary. You know what I mean? And we strive for that same goal.
We're talking with the lead singer of Otherwise, Adrian Patrick. I got so many things to ask you, but I know we're starting to run out of some time, so we're going to have to maybe talk again some other time down the road. But there's a couple other things I do want to touch base with you on here. Some of the questions I normally like to ask some of the active rock bands. How about some current active rock bands that you are really liking right now? Obviously, Otherwise you like, but how about some other bands out there that you're really digging right now? Maybe some bands we even haven't heard of yet so much.
Dude, that's a good question, man. There's a lot of good new music out right now. We've been playing a lot of Royal Blood. We've been playing them a lot on the bus. We've been jamming that album out. I don't know if they're considered. I know they're on the active rock charts, but they're also on the alternative charts. I don't know how that works, brother. But I just hear a rock band, and that's a good album that everybody should probably check out.
They're on our airwaves. So yes, they're a good band. Yep.
Yeah. Our buddies in Nothing More. They're a killer new band, man. We love jamming with those guys. One of the, if not the best live performance. If you want to go see a live show and see guys really, real musicianship. Those guys are up there.
You mentioned Nothing More. I'm really excited about their new song Jenny because it has such a great meaning behind it, and I think with the mental issues and stuff, I think it really is going to give some depth to that band actually.
Yeah, and I don't think those guys will have no problem, finding that depth. They're cool guys, massively talented. We're fortunate. We get to go out on tours. One of my favorite bands that's been around for a long time. We just got off the road, and they're not a new band, but I still think people should go back and check them out. It's 10 Years. So that's a band. Yeah, I know they're not a new band like you were saying, Jay-Z, but their new album is amazing, dude. And that's something that the listeners should maybe go back and check out, and give another shot, another listen.
Absolutely.
What about you, man? Who are you digging on? Any new music that we should be paying attention?
You just mentioned 10 years, absolutely, absolutely, without a doubt. Some of the other ones that I'm starting to dig here. Actually, there's a Minnesota band called Cold Kingdom. You haven't heard them. It's a female-led band, and they are pretty solid. And it's not Cold Kingdom, and let's put it this way: it's a band. Yeah, it's female-led. A lot of times, there's the sex appeal of a female lead singer. This gal, actually, their lead singer, and the listeners know this. She has a degree in music. She was an opera singer. Had some vocal cord issues, some nodes, kind of like Jacoby Shaddix had of Papa Roach, and basically had to get away from doing that and kind of got her voice a little bit more raspy, and she can wail. And this band is up and coming. I think they will be on the scene here in a couple of years nationwide. So that's a band to look out for.
That's a good plug, brother. I'm going to have to check them out. Cold Kingdom, all right?
Cold Kingdom, yep, absolutely.
Old.
No, Cold. C-O-L-D, Cold, just like you said.
All right, Cold Kingdom.
Cold Kingdom.
Check them out, man.
Absolutely. Here's another question I want to ask you. What artist would you like to cover one of your songs?
Dude, that's a great question, man. I've never actually thought of that. Dude, I think I would love, if like, I think it'd be pretty cool to hear like David Byrne from Talking Heads do a version of his version of an Otherwise song. I love Talking Heads. I'd love to hear what he would do to that.
That would be awesome.
Right?
Can you make that happen?
Dude, I'm gonna call him as soon as we get off the phone. I'm gonna text him right now and be like, "Yo, Dave, get on top of this, bro."
Why not? I mean, if we get all these collaborations of rappers and pop guys and everything, there's no reason why we can't have that with rock guys and other things too, right?
Absolutely, man, absolutely. And I love, one of my first experiences in the big leagues was I did a collaboration with In This Moment. I sang a song with Maria Brink.
Oh yeah,
off of their album Star-Crossed Wasteland, and I think more people should do that. We should cross genres too. I wish it wasn't. I wish there wasn't so much red tape and politics like we were talking about earlier. I wish it could just be like, hey man, I like your band, or I like your the way you sing. Like let's get together and do something and share it with the world. But unfortunately, that's not the way things work right now. But again, we're trying to. Hopefully, we can change that someday, right, Jay-Z?
Well, Dave Grohl, I guess, has kind of crossed a little bit over, with some Paul McCartney and that. And even, I think, Zach Brown Band and Chris Cornell have been doing some stuff now, too, here. So
yeah, I know. That kind of blew my mind a little bit when I saw the Zach Brown Band on the active rock charts. I was like, what the hell is going on? But see, that's my point, Jay-Z.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand how, some bands can be on all the charts, but for whatever reason, right now, otherwise can only be on this one genre, and get played on. Why can't we cross over? Why can't every station play all kinds of music? I don't.
Hey, that's what we do here on FM 94. Actually, we play everything, so it's kind of screwy, but that's the way we do it here. So,
dude, that's awesome, man. I mean, dude, I listen personally. I listen to all kinds of Right now, I'm listening to, again, like I mentioned, I'm listening to Talking Heads, but I'm also listening to the best of Bill Withers. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like we radio stations should be that way, man. I can't wait to get out there and friggin' have a beer with you, man, and talk some more about this.
What does it mean for you to hear your music on the radio?
Man, it's surreal every time, and it never gets old, dude. That's when you hear that when it happens, and it's just like right now, it kind of leaves you speechless. I don't really know how to describe it. It's very very, very humbling and also inspiring at the same time. It's like, wow, man. Every time if I start getting down on myself or I get depressed about the success that we're having, we need more and we need more. We should be doing bigger things. But then when I do hear our songs on the radio, I go, man. There's a million guys out there who would kill to be in my shoes right now and experience what I'm experiencing right now. So it always brings me back to center when I hear us on the airwaves, dude. So once again, man, thank you for sending our message out into the universe. We are eternally grateful.
No problem. Hey, touring-wise, I know you're going to be doing some stuff. We talked about you're coming up to Rochester here on May 28th, and then also be over in Cadott, Wisconsin at Rockfest. So that's a couple of times for our listeners to get to check you out.
Yeah, we love coming up in that area, especially when it's not the winter time.
Have you ever ice fished before?
No, not yet, man, but I've heard it's something you got to do at least once in your life.
We're going to have to get you up here in the wintertime, and we'll take you out ice fishing then, huh?
Yeah, that would be awesome, dude. That would be friggin' rad.
Man wasn't supposed to walk on water, right?
Right, but we managed to do it, dude. So maybe there's hope for us yet, JP.
You know, you mentioned tour in that. How about, obviously, playing live? Is there a song that you really love playing live?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple, actually. I mean, we actually, you talked about them. Especially on the new album, I would have to say, Meet Me in the Dark is definitely a fun one to play. All the Pretty Things, that song has a lot of meaning for us. It was, our friend that we wrote it with, he had just gone through, his buddy had just recently committed suicide. My brother and I have been through that with three of our close friends, and so anybody who's been through that, that song, that's another song that reminds me not to take anything for granted.
Right.
Then of course, we close every show with Soldiers, the first song, and that anybody ever heard from us, and it's just to when you hear people singing back words that you wrote, in your bedroom back in Las Vegas, and you're in some town that you've never been to or even heard of, and a couple hundred people are screaming the lyrics back at you. It really like pierces you, man. It penetrates you down to the soul, and it's an amazing feeling.
Very cool, very cool. Hey, Adrian, if more people want to get to know about the band, otherwise, what's the best way to do that?
Well, dude, come to a live show, man.
Yeah.
That's where you will, that's where you will see us in our purest form, and we make sure to make a point of meeting as many people as we can after the shows. That's really where you can come in. That's where people say, okay, now I get it. I saw you guys live. Now I get it. And right. That's where you get to know us best, as performers and as people, because we hang out and meet everybody. But if you can't make it to a show, we run all our own social media. My brother and I, Corky, our drummer, we're on Facebook, which is facebook.com/otherwiseofficial. Our Twitter handle is we are otherwise. Our Instagram is we are otherwise, and you can find our tour dates at weareotherwise.com.
Awesome. Hey, this was a lot of fun talking, and we're going to have to do this again, a follow-up maybe down the road here. Sound great?
Yeah, man, absolutely, Jay-Z. I really enjoy interviews like this where, it's thoughtful and it feels good, man. It feels like you actually care about us, dude, so thank you for that.
We actually do care about you up here. We're Minnesota nice, all right? Hey,
I can't wait to get up there, brother.
Absolutely. We're going to play your latest song, Coming for the Throne. Thanks again, Adrian.
Thank you, JB. I appreciate it, brother.
Once again, that is the lead singer of the band Otherwise. That is Adrian Patrick. This is their latest song off of that new album, Peace at All Costs. It's Coming for the Throne. It's on The Dark on FM 94.